So if you're calling 2024 your year of YouTube and you understand that it's one of the best places to generate high quality leads for your business, then this video is for you. I'm gonna go over the exact process that I used to grow this channel to 160,000 subscribers, this one to 26,000 subscribers, and this one to 36,000. And at the same time, generating over $5 million in revenue with no ad spend. All that coming up in today's episode of the podcast. All right, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Welcome back to the episode of the Coffee, Content, and Communication podcast, where we talk all about content and communication and sales and YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and Did I just say TikTok? All right, we're starting off really strong here. It's been a couple weeks since we uploaded the last episode, so maybe I guess I'm a little rusty. I don't know. You think after 16 years of creating content, I'd be a little bit more on top of the game than that. So what we're going to do in this episode is really go over three main things that I want to break down for you guys. Number one is I want to talk about how YouTube as a whole works. I think there's a lot of noise in the realm of YouTube, and not even just YouTube, just the way that marketing works in general is, you know, someone teaches something and then it becomes like too simple, and then people make like really complicated ways of doing things. When it still gets like to the end goal, it just makes it overcomplicated, but they use that because they don't want it to seem simple or something that's not revolutionary. So they just like create a system that just, again, it makes it harder than it needs to be. So I'm going to break down just like to the bare bones how YouTube works. Also, I'm going to give you guys the ideal content schedule and the types of content to post on YouTube. Again, I'm going to keep it pretty simple. There's really three main content types that I like to focus on when I'm posting on YouTube and what I've used to grow all the channels. I have the, I think you guys, the 100,000 subs button is, that's my plaque of showing that I know what I'm talking about. So yeah, we're gonna go over the three content types. And then the third thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna jump into some screen share of some of the metrics on a couple of the YouTube channels and go over really the only two metrics that you need to focus on when it comes to YouTube. Now, this is, again, keep in mind, this whole video is going to like encompass the most basic sense of YouTube and what the bare minimum that you need to jump into and start creating content. But you can still use this video. Like, I'm going to give you everything that you need to generate your first 10, 50, really 100,000 subscribers. Because it really isn't difficult. As cliche as it sounds, it just comes to being consistent and posting on a consistent basis and posting like good, high quality content. When I say high quality content, I'm not meaning like editing and flashy edits and things like that. I mean, just really giving value to the audience that's going to be watching your videos. It really is that simple. I think especially now in the world that we live, is everyone wants things tomorrow. And that's good and bad for us as YouTubers. Number one, it's good because, or I'm sorry, we'll start with the bad, right? It's bad because things like TikTok and YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels is they create this reality where you can see some pretty quick results pretty quickly, right? Pretty quick results pretty quickly. And again, that's good. But on the bad side is it's already like made our brains want things to be like literally overnight. So when it comes to YouTube and YouTube taking a little bit longer than some of these short form platforms, is people just get really discouraged after the first 1 to 5 videos that they upload, and then they just stop uploading altogether. So you're not going to be that person, because I'm going to give you the exact breakdown of what to focus on and what to do so that you don't run into that same problem. So let's just jump right in the episode and right into the videos. I keep looking over here because my monitor, I can look at like the audio and it's like clipping. So hopefully it's not like ruining your eyes, ears, or anything. So let's just jump into number one of understanding how YouTube works. So when we're looking at YouTube at the most basic level, and you've probably heard this before because everyone says these same two things, but I am going to break it down a little bit more, is YouTube really only cares about two things, or really just one thing. And that is, how can we keep people on the platform longer? And the way that you can do that, and like the main metrics that they're looking for at, is like, okay, how many times are people clicking your video? And when that person clicks your video, how long are they watching the video? So really what this comes down to is having, and actually this is kind of the same thing as number three, but number three we're going to break down and I'll give you some exact examples. But it's like, okay, can you create good content? And when I say good content, I mean high quality content of just you giving information to people that they can actually take and go and implement into their lives, right? Through whatever your niche you're in, right? So if you're a sales channel, give people actual sales tips, right? Don't, I think a big thing or a big problem that people coming into YouTube do is they take like the direct advertising standpoint and they're like, well, let me like tease at the idea or tease at what they should be doing and then put everything else behind a paywall, right? Click the link in the description. The problem with that is I mean, that might have worked 5 years ago, but now there's just so much information out there on YouTube that people can just go to YouTube and get good quality content. And if, there's YouTuber A and YouTuber B, and YouTuber A gives everything out on the YouTube video, and YouTuber B, they give out like a little bit of it, but then like try to put them to a landing page to get their name, phone number, and email. The problem with that is they're not going to get to the point where they put their name, phone number, email, because guess what? They didn't get, like, the viewer didn't get the information from that video. So they're going to leave that video and they're going to go over to the person that they give everything for free. One of the people that kind of, I wouldn't say pioneered this idea, but really went full force with it was, of course, Alex Hormozi. His whole thing for a while was like, I don't have anything to sell you. And then he stopped doing that because he started selling you, books and, things like that. So it's like, when, like, the only thing, back to the point of, like, you want people to click your videos and you want them to watch them for long periods of time, is just make good content. I don't know why I said it like that. Make good content that people binge through. And the reason that, like, people binge watch, like, think about any, like, think of it as like a Netflix show, right? It's like, if you watch episode, and it's a season, if you watch episode 1 and episode 1 is terrible, are you going to watch the rest of the season? No, because you're like, well, episode 1 wasn't good, so I'm not going to, like, watch through to the rest of it. Now, the caveat to that is, let's say, like, a person, like someone, maybe they recommended that to you and they're like, oh, just wait around for like episode, 3 or 4, because it starts to get good. The problem with that, though, is when you're starting fresh on YouTube and you don't have a ton of videos, is like, you haven't really built that goodwill with people. And, another thing that just really prominent, good creators, if we look at Mr. Beast, for example, is he has created so much goodwill with his audience that, every single time you click a Mr. Beast video, it's going to be a banger, right? You're going to enjoy it, right? Depending on the audience that, you as the audience that are looking at the videos. If you don't like high quality, those like challenge type videos, and you might not watch Mr. Beast. But I mean, if you look, he's the most subscribed YouTube channel out there. So you can learn a thing or two from Mr. Beast. So all that being said, I do want to kind of bring it back to, like, this is more for like education channels and people that want to, sell some sort of product. And I think that's the other thing to set the expectation of when you're first starting out on YouTube, is understand that there's kind of 2 buckets when it comes to building your online presence. On one side of things, you have like that viral route of someone like Mr. Beast or Arac or, some of these like other creators that are just like, their content is naturally just really broad, right? If you have a video that's titled last person to take their hands off a jet wins $1 million. It's like, that title and that packaging of that video could literally interest anyone, right? Because it's money and private jets and it's a challenge, right? So like, inherently the market for that is massive. But when we're looking at the other side of things with, smaller channels, is you can make $10, $20, $30, $50,000 a month with less than 100 or less than 1,000 subscribers, probably less than 500 subscribers of like people that are there to watch your high quality content. So I just wanted to reel it back to that a little bit, because I think some people do get discouraged when they're like, well, I don't want to have to wait to build a million subscribers or anything like that. Like I said at the beginning of the video, one of the channels that I built, the Remote Closing Academy, the ones that's at about 36, almost 30,000, 37,000 subs at this point. There was a point where it was doing 200, 300 grand a month in revenue. And that was when it was like, I think when it was peaking was like at like 15,000 subs, which might sound like a lot, but once you get past a certain threshold, it does pick up in terms of the quickness in which it grows. But, we were doing 20, 30 grand a month with less than 1,000 subs. So don't look at it as like, I need to build, a massive YouTube channel. The cool part about YouTube, and I was talking to this group that I was in a couple days ago about how understanding sales and understanding like YouTube is just a massive cheat code. Like if you're building a YouTube channel and then on top of that, you understand sales, just like even at a basic level, I mean, you could be lethal, because people that are on YouTube they're already there for a reason. They're watching longer form content. They're building a, much stronger parasocial relationship with you. And you can just do crazy numbers with a small amount of people on that side. So anyway, that's kind of all culmination of point number one is just understanding that people are on YouTube to watch high quality content. They're there to, they have their notepad. I said notepad, but their notepad, notebook, they have that out, ready to take notes, ready to learn. And if you can be the person to give them that information, not only are they going to click on more of your videos, which again is going to help you get pushed out to more people, and they're going to watch your videos for longer periods of time. They're going to binge watch your videos, and binge watching is what we want people to do because that sends, a good sign to YouTube that this is a good channel to watch. So let's jump into point number two. So point number two is the ideal content schedule. So when it comes to, uploading on YouTube, I think the thing that I see a lot of people run into is they're confusing like what types of videos that they should make. Now, I'm not going to go all the way deep down the rabbit hole of like how to do keyword research and search volume and all that kind of stuff. Because if you just think about your niche, right, whether it's real estate, mortgage, kind of same thing, right? Online coaching, sales, content creation, like whatever the thing that you're learning is, like what I do for every new channel that I've done, and actually a new channel that we're building right now that's seeing some pretty quick growth in terms of, it's less than 100 subscribers. We've already done like $20,000 in revenue, just because the videos are like the first of its kind in this specific niche. I'll probably do a kind of an update video, or I'm doing kind of a behind the scenes thing of like building the channel just to show like how simple building a YouTube channel could be. But just know that the strategy that I'm giving you guys is the strategy I've used to build all these different channels, and what I'm also using to build kind of a case study for this new channel, and just doing exactly what I've done for all these channels. So that's what I'm talking about here. So again, when you're thinking about the ideas, don't fall into like, don't overthink it. Don't think like, oh my gosh, I have to have the highest quality videos. Like you can, like if the quality of the content and the value that you're giving in your videos is good and it's top notch and it's actionable, people can take, action in 24 hours, it's niche specific, you can see a crazy amount of success with even just Loom videos. Like you can take a Loom video, download it and upload it, and people like love that kind of stuff. I talked about it in the last couple episodes is how there's this shift happening in content creation right now where you don't have to have as high of quality like edits as you might have needed like 6 to 8 months ago. Like people are really loving the more authentic, more raw, more real content, more everyday type stuff. It's kind of why I'm building this podcast and not really worrying too much about the editing and effects and transitions, just mostly just giving out really actionable, high quality advice. Like that's the point of this YouTube channel. And hopefully this YouTube channel kind of becomes a case study in and of itself of like, I'm telling you guys what I'm doing to also build this YouTube channel. So again, ideal content schedule. I look at it as really having 3 different types of content. I'll give a couple different examples. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast, feel free to like comment down below, like maybe your niche, and I can give you some specific ideas of, of types of content that you can create. So 3 types of content. We're looking at top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel content. If you don't know what that is, think of it as like a pyramid, or I guess an upside down pyramid, right? Top of funnel content would be people that, and the types of videos would be like really broad, like current event videos. Middle of funnel content or middle of funnel videos are going to be the ones that are a little bit more interested in what you're doing, but those will be like the educational videos around your specific topic. Again, don't worry, I'll give examples here in a second. And then the bottom of funnel content is going to be like the conversion type content. The best that I found, that there's, a podcast that we built on the Remote Closing Academy podcast that does, $100,000 in revenue just organically from YouTube, is testimonial type podcast. And I'll probably make a full other video of this because it's something that I don't think that I invented, but I definitely was one of the first to kind of like do it in this way. And it worked and continues to work really, really well. I'm going to use that exact same type of video that I'm doing, probably for this channel, and then also for the other one that we're building. So let's break these down. So broad current event type video. So think about, actually, this channel is a great example. 2 videos ago, I made a video about the TikTok ban, right? That was a current event type video. And this channel has like, at the time of recording this, like 60 something or like 55, 60 subs. And I made a video about the TikTok ban, and I think it probably has 700 views now. And, it brought it to a couple people that are reaching out to me. I don't have a specific offer for this. We'll probably build something out here in the future off of the back of, our other company, closures.io. But at the time of recording this, we don't have any specific offer. If you maybe check the description, we might have something, cooking up depending on when you're watching this video. But it's, so it was a broad type of content and it's kind of a mix between the two. It was broad in the sense of like, it's something that a lot of people were interested in, but I could also like bake in search on that because it was a current event and a current topic. Is not only is it going to perform really well on like the homepage when YouTube pushes it to the homepage, but it's also going to do well because it's called TikTok ban, right? A lot of people are searching up TikTok ban. So naturally it's going to give it the chance to either rank on, in search or also come up in suggested videos around other videos or other people that are making videos around a similar topic. So it kind of kills two birds with that one stone. But, a great example actually is recently within the real estate industry, there was a big NAR settlement where, I didn't look too deep into it, but it was a really big piece of news where it will affect a lot of people in the real estate industry on the buyer side of real estate. So not only from a standpoint of like, current events of like a lot of people talking about this, is people are going to be on YouTube and on Google searching for that specific topic. So if I was a real estate agent or not a real estate agent, but like a real estate agent coach, like if I had a program that helps real estate agents, I would make a YouTube video about that. I would still do it, right? I'm recording this on the 10th of April. I would still probably do it, but I wouldn't, I maybe wouldn't make it as urgent because it's kind of like, I think this came out about a month ago or three weeks ago at the time of recording this. But that would be an example of a video that you could make that gives you, or that could give you a push into, search results as well as browse content. I'm trying to think of direct other examples, but, one way that you can kind of make sure that you're on top of these trends is, depending on whatever industry you're in, you're probably in like Facebook groups or subscribe to other YouTube channels, or, you follow people on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter maybe, or X, whatever, is you can kind of see what's like the everyday going on in that specific industry. And if it's something where it's like trending, broad topics that are, that there's a lot of hype around, I try to jump on those as quickly as possible. It's actually one of the ways that I built the YouTube channel that has 160,000 subs. It's not active anymore, but I capitalized on the trend of Snapchat back in 2015 as I realized that no one was making Snapchat videos. So I was like, let me make a Snapchat video. And I made the Snapchat video and it got like 20,000 views in the first like month, I think it was. And then it, catapulted to, I think at this moment in time, it's at like 3-4 million views. Not a lot of people watch anymore because that was back in 2015, but I like off the back of trends and people that are searching for things is I was able to grow that channel. So that's the type of like broad, high, like top of funnel type of content that you want to think about. So that's the first type of video that you can make. The second type of video, and I'll go over like frequency and things like that here in a little bit. But SEO type videos. So again, this is one of those things where you have two different schools of thought here. Is you have some like YouTube coaches that are like, don't focus on search, focus on more broad. And like, the thing is, this is just how I've done it every single time. And it's worked for me every single time. So, I'm going to listen to, and I'm going to do what's worked for me. And I'm going to do what's worked for the people that I've like recommended this to. I'm not going to, listen to a coach that's built one YouTube channel and got lucky. You know what I mean? Like this is all based off of like actual strategy of what I've been able to do with my channels to make money, So SEO type videos. It never fails. I do this on every single YouTube channel and it always works, and it works really, really well. So what you want to do is go to YouTube, and maybe I'll do a different video on this, but I'll just kind of explain it high level here. But you want to go to YouTube and just search how to, or like just think about your niche and think about what are like the biggest questions that you get, the most frequently asked questions that you get around your specific topic. So, for example, when I started the Remote Closing Academy, a big one was, what is remote closing, right? And this was a kind of a strategy that I used back when I was like actually helping real estate agents build their YouTube channels. But it was like, we called it like our 10 video strategy. And what we would do is basically take a core keyword. So, you know, if I was at maybe I'm just trying to think of like a different niche. Like let's say, we'll just keep like coaches, right? Coaches and agencies, for example, is if I wanted to start a YouTube channel around a specific thing, right? It's like, what are people usually asking for? How to generate leads, how to sign more clients, how to run Facebook ads, right? Whatever like sub niche that you're in. And then what you want to do is take that core keyword. So let's say the keyword is how to get clients, right? Or how to get more clients. Like that's like the most basic is you want to take that keyword, right? How to get more clients. And you want to come up with like 20 different video ideas with that specific keyword in your videos. So the way that you could do it is, YouTube's a great resource. You just search like how to get clients, right? How to get clients from my agency, and then see what YouTube gives to you as examples. But then on top of that, you can just say, the best ways to get clients for your agency, right? That could be the first video, and you talk about 3 different ways to generate clients for your agency, right? How to get clients for my agency for free or with no money, right? And then I would make a video about that, like how to get clients for my agency, or how to get clients for, my agency with YouTube, how to get clients for your agency with Facebook, how to get clients for your agency with whatever, right? And really what you want to do is create these videos and create the first 10 to 15 to 20 of those types of videos. And here's the important part here is set your expectation to nothing. Literally expect nothing from these videos. And they might be saying, Aaron, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would I expect nothing from these videos? It's because the problem usually lies on the opposite side, like the opposite like mindset, where people are like, oh, like I thought these videos were going to explode. Like, oh my gosh, I only got 50 views or 100 views. The problem with that is that it's just going to take time. So, but again, here's where the mindset comes in is when you set the expectation super, super high and nothing happens, you just get discouraged and then you quit. And then you're like, well, let me just like go spend more money on ads, which, spend money on ads. Like that's obviously one way of doing things. But if we're looking at building like an organic YouTube channel, right, that's going to generate the highest quality leads that don't cost anything, right, other than labor of having an editor or whatever, you just got to understand that it's going to take time, right? So whenever like the first 20 videos and any new like client that I'm working with, right? We're working with a new portfolio client, and I'm like, I'm helping build out the YouTube channel, is I just set the expectations of like, hey, we're going to make 20 videos and let's just not expect anything from it. Like we're going to see, progression, and we're going to see, more subscribers and stuff come in, but we're not going to see Mr. Beast level views and subscribers. But again, as I was talking about, I think the channel currently at the time of recording this is at like 147 subs. We've uploaded just 2 videos, a couple of short form videos, and it's doing okay. But here's where like the mindset or how YouTube works is you're going to create these videos, right? You're going to create 5, 10, 15 videos, and it's going to be around this specific keyword, right? If you're confused by the keyword thing, subscribe. I'll probably make another video about, specifics of keywords and things like that. But what you want to do is, or what's going to happen within YouTube is you are going to start to see traction of YouTube starting to push your videos out to more people. Because here's what's happening. And here's why I love like the domination of the keyword strategy is you're going to put out 1 video, 2 videos, 5 videos. It's not really going to do much. But when you are the person, let's say the person searching up how to get clients, and you have 20 videos that in the title, in the description, right, is how to get clients, YouTube is going to start to suggest your videos to people. Why? Because people are searching how to get clients, and in every single one of your 20 videos, right, there's this sign that goes back to YouTube is someone searching for how to get clients. Your YouTube channel has how to get clients, right, in 20 of the videos. You were giving your video the chance to be suggested more in search volume, and then again, more in the suggested videos of other people's videos. So someone, let's say, watches a video from somebody else. They're going to, watch that video on the right side handbar on desktop, or if they're watching on mobile, it's going to be under the video or even the suggested videos after that video. It's going to give you the opportunity to show up in those results and then getting more traction, getting more people that are coming through and watching your channel. So it's just so important though that you stay consistent with those types of videos. And the beauty is, because I don't want to like scare you off by saying like, oh my God, I'm gonna put so much effort and time into these videos. I think it was my third video on this channel that got 500, 600 views, and nothing's hit into that point. But I'm like I think this is episode 6. So I'm not like, or maybe episode 7. So I'm not too worried about it. I'm still in that mode of like, I'm just going to make a ton of videos and they're probably not going to see any results, And I'm okay with that, because the other part of that too is just like loving the content that you make. Like I kind of just love sitting here and talking about something that I nerd out about, right? And it makes me better at what I do. I can talk about it more, which means, I'm repeating it more, which means I'm, putting all these things and connecting things in my head of like how to communicate them best. So anyway, that's the second type of video, is the SEO type videos. Literally just pull up a Notion page, pull up a Word doc, Google Doc, whatever, and just start writing out ideas and putting them out there on page. So that's the second thing. The third type of content, and this one is a little bit more nuanced, but it's going to be the bottom of funnel type content. And this is a testimonial client type podcast. So what you're going to do with this, and this is a little bit more like advanced in a way, like you do have to have clients that are seeing results. You have to, have people that are, that have come through your program, your coaching or weight loss coaching. Like this is mostly for the coaching industry. Is you want to be able to have conversations with clients that have seen success with your program. So I'll link our Remote Closing Academy podcast down in the description. You guys can go check it out. But essentially what I did, this was about 2.5 years ago, I had the idea of, I'm tired of this, like this way of that people are doing these podcasts, or not podcasts, but like client testimonials, where it's just like, you tell your client, you're like, pull up your phone and record a video testimonial and tell me how great I am, right? The problem with that is twofold. Number one is it's just way overdone at this point. I think like, yeah, it does add a little bit of credibility, but it's just like, it's so overdone. And second, it's like with things like Fiverr and AI and all, it's like, it's so easy to fake those things, right? So, and just naturally, as the years have gone on, is people that are buying these products, like these online digital products, have become more skeptical. So I was thinking, how can I make this, number one, more genuine, number two, more believable, number three, higher impact, and number four, just not as like transactional, if that makes sense. So I had the idea of like, let's just like bring clients that have seen success through our programs. I'm going to bring them on a podcast. I'm going to jump on them with Zoom, and I'm not going to make it really anything for the first 45 minutes of our conversation, anything about me or the product or the program or the Remote Closing Academy. And the reason is because I didn't want it to come off as this thing where if someone sees a podcast episode, they just expect it to be this 45-minute or 15-minute thing of like this other person just telling me how amazing I am. I don't like watching those things. It doesn't really do anything for me. So I was like, let me just bring them on a podcast, ask them for the first 45 minutes about them, right? About their life, about their story, about their background, about the struggles that they've gone through in their life, and make it like an actual podcast episode where people can watch it and see themselves in that person, right? Like a student that has come through our program that was not doing well, and then, hey, they found our program, and then now it's like the whole hero arc, the hero story that people really connect with. And then, last 15, 20 minutes can be about, it'll be a natural transition of like, okay, cool. So like how, like from all that, how did you find RCA? How did you find our program? And then just naturally goes into like, this is what they've done in the program. Here's the amount of money that they've made. Here's been the results of what they've been able to see. Here's how their life has changed from this program. And now it's so much more impactful because the first half of it, you get them talking, right? You get them talking about themselves. People love talking about themselves. And then the transition, they're already super excited to transition to that. And the viewer is now bought into this person's story and wants to see it to the end. So then now they're watching an hour-long episode, and a lot of times they're able to see themselves in that person's story, and now they're more bought into it. And there's this quote, and I forgot who it was. I was at a conference or one of our 8-figure boardroom events a couple months back, and there was it was a quote that he said is what you want to do with your clients or potential clients is there's two different things that can happen, or there's two scenarios that the person falls into. On one side of things is they feel like it's possible, right? It's possible that I can see success with this thing, right? If you're a real estate coach that coaches other real estate agents, right? It's like when they come through your program, they could think that it's like, yeah, it's possible that I see success within this thing. But what you want to do is switch the possible to probable. And when someone thinks that something is probable, if you don't know the difference, is like, okay, one is like, yeah, it could be possible. One is like, this is probably going to be a result that I can see. Like, I'm confident this is probable. I'm going to see the end result. And when you can transition them from possible to probable, it becomes so much easier of a sale when they get on the phone with you as a salesperson or whatever it is. So that's like the key that's helped a ton of, these videos. And the cool thing is too, is the way that we did it is I would package it, right? The title, thumbnail, all that type of stuff. I would package it in a way where it could still reach like a larger audience. So it's not like, the title and thumbnail is not client testimonial, right? It's this guy made $25,000 last month. Here's how. Right? That's the title. You see how like the client testimonial route is they already have to understand what your product is. They have to be in the buying pocket because they have to they're watching the testimonial because they want to convert, right? All those things have to be true. But with this other side of things, right? When you're looking at like the way you package it is now it pertains to anybody. Like it pertains to how this plumber to $40,000 a month. Here's how he did it. Right? You see how that packaging is so much different? So you package it in a way where you can now it then pertains to the masses, then they're watching that story and then they connect with the person for the first 30 minutes. It doesn't feel like a pitch fest. And then the natural progression is like, okay, how did you build that, how did you start making that money? Oh, you did this thing called a remote closing. Okay, cool. Remote closing is this thing where you take phone calls for other people. Oh, if you want to learn more about remote closing, click the link in the description. And guess what? There are 45 minutes to this interview where they've connected with this person. And now they're connected to, okay, this person was able to do it. And then I have 50 episodes. So it's like 50 other people have been able to do the same thing. And now it's transformed from possible to probable. So hopefully that makes sense. Like it's really something that, again, I'm not going to say that I created the whole method because there's other people that I've seen that have done it. But in the way that I've done it, I do think that it was one of the first of its kind. So I'm just gonna keep saying that I created that strategy. So, but that's like the bottom of funnel type of content. So if we're looking at like an overall, and if you're someone that again, this is mostly for coaches and people that want to make money with their content, but if you're just making content for like ad revenue, you don't even have to do that last one. Just make high quality content that people want to look at. So how frequently should you post? And this is another thing that you don't want to you just don't want to overthink this. If you can post, here's what I'll say. Post as consistently as you can keep the quality high. And I know that's like a generic way of saying things, but I think there's so many people that are like, you have to post 2 times a day to see success on YouTube. You have to post 1 time a week. You have to post blah, 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 blah. But it's like, there's so many channels out there that they post 1 time every 6 months, but they put so much time and effort into the research and the editing and the filming, and those videos get 10 million views. Right? But it's because it's a really high quality piece of content. The reason that I like to stick to and what I recommend people is upload 1 time a week, because a week is it's like a sweet spot to where it gives you enough reps on a monthly basis to continue to improve, but it's also not so much where you feel overwhelmed that you can't do it, if that makes sense. So it's that happy medium. I try to post once a week on this channel. But again, I'm focusing on a lot of other things. I'm not just building up a personal brand. So yeah, I just do this. Like I said, I do this because I like it and I want to use it as a testimonial for myself and kind of a case study as we build it up. So don't overthink the amount of content. I also wouldn't overthink well, Aaron, you talked about 3 different types. Should I post 1 type this amount of times and this amount? Don't worry about that. Just if here's what I would say is make the majority of your content SEO type videos. Right? If there's something that comes up in your news feed or something that comes up that's a trending topic, make a video about that, post it as quickly as you can. Cause there is sometimes with those types of videos, there is a window where you want to get it up. Right. And then, the testimonial type videos, just if someone in your program sees a good amount of success, then get them on a Zoom call and just ask them questions. Right. That would be the best thing that I would say. So That's number 2. That was kind of a lot. But number 3 is actually what I want to do is I want to do a little screen share here. Okay, so what I want to do is just show you guys here really quickly is an idea of like what the metrics that you should look at. And I'm not going to go like too deep into this because here's the thing is there's a lot of metrics when it comes to YouTube, but these are just ones that I think that are a lot easier for you to control, right? You can't really control impressions. You can't really control, where the views are coming from. You can't really control like, a lot of these like higher level metrics, but these 2 pieces, you do have a direct correlation of the actions that you can take in order to make videos better. So going back to the number 1 that I think that I said, and also just the point number 3 being like, what are the main metrics to look at? Number 1 is watch time. Number 2 is CTR or click-through rate. So actually, before I even go through this screen share here, is let me give you an idea of what each of those mean and how what you do can dictate the changes in those. So first things first is CTR, right? CTR is click-through rate. So what that means is impression click-through rate, which means when YouTube shows your video to someone, whether it's in suggested, whether it's on the YouTube homepage, whether it's in search, it's when an impression is when your video is showed to someone. They're scrolling on YouTube, they're scrolling on, on their phone, their desktop, and it shows up on their screen, right? That is an impression. Now, the CTR, right, the impressions click-through rate is the amount of times that someone click, like the percentage of when someone sees that video and when someone clicks on the video. So higher click-through rate is going to be indicative of 2 things. Number 1, your title. Number 2, your thumbnail, right? How are those things working together? Now, the part that kind of sucks about it is there isn't a thumbnail click-through rate and a title click-through rate, which sucks, right? Because they kind of work hand in hand. So you never really know, like, let's say you have a high click-through rate. You don't really ever know if it's the thumbnail or the title that's helping you do that. I do think it's a little bit of both, right? And there's actually a third thing that they've introduced recently, which I think is really, really important, is the fact that now when you're on YouTube, or I think it works on mobile as well, is when you're hovering over a specific video, is if you hover for like 1 or 2 seconds, is it then transitions, like the thumbnail goes away and it starts like auto playing the video without sound. So the reason that's important is because people will let that autoplay happen, and they'll kind of like use those first couple frames to dictate whether they want to click the video or not. So in my head, and the way that I consume content, and I would assume that this is like how other people, but you can make different inferences yourself. But this is what I think about, is when I'm scrolling on YouTube, the first thing that I look at, and it's also very dependent on like the type of viewing, right? But 90% of the time is when I'm scrolling on YouTube, is people are going to see the thumbnail. Like the thumbnail is what's going to grab attention, right? It's going to stop the scroll. Then they're going to look at the title of that video. And almost what happens in the brain is you look at the thumbnail, you look at the title, you read the title to see if those 2 things like kind of go together, and you're deciding whether or not you want to click the video. And then as you're making that decision, what happens is the video starts to autoplay. So if I had to put the level of what to focus your time on, is the thumbnail is extremely important, right? It needs to be something that grabs attention enough for you to read the title. And then the first 60 seconds of that video, or really more specifically, the first 10 seconds of the video needs to grab enough attention to then make them want to click through the video. It's like all those things are happening in 3 seconds, right? So it's so important to be on top of these things and understanding what the click-through rate means. So let me just go ahead and switch over to my screen share here to give you a couple ideas here. So these are 2 different videos. Like these are examples of 2 different videos. If I had to give you, and there's no right or wrong for this, but what I found over the years upon years of doing this is a solid click-through rate is anywhere between 7 and 10%. And that's on like on an average video. The thing that changes though, because if we're looking at this video, right, this video right here got 1 million impressions and it has a 5.4% click-through rate. Now, what naturally happens as your impression numbers go up, your click-through rate's going to go down because it's just the nature of the game, right? The more throughput, the less this number's going to look. Now, if I look at this other video though, right here, is this one only got 200,000 impressions and it has a 7.4 click-through rate. So I would consider that pretty good, especially in this realm here. But just understand, as you get more and more impressions, your click-through rate's going to go down. So that's why I say, like, if you're if your video has 5 million impressions and it has a 3% click-through rate, obviously you can increase that click-through rate by making a better title and thumbnail, but I wouldn't like worry too much if you see the click-through rate is dropping. Now, there's another really important thing to understand with the click-through rate, because I've seen so many people that are like, Aaron, like, mine's like 2% or 3%. Another thing that I've seen with new YouTube channels is a lot of people they'll create a YouTube video and they'll post it on Facebook, or they'll post it on Instagram. They'll post it on all these different places. I don't know exactly how it tracks the impressions from those different platforms. What I've realized, or what I found, is when it's shared outside of the platform, the click-through rate is way down. I'm going to do a little bit more research around it, because I thought that I knew why that was. But yeah, it's just I've realized that anytime that you share it outside of YouTube, it naturally brings the click-through rate down. I've seen, on actually some of the recent videos we've made for this other channel that I'm building, is it'll start out like one video, we didn't share it outside of the platform, and it averages about 8 to 10% click-through rate. But now is, we tried testing it and setting out to the email list and stuff, and it's at like 2% click-through rate. So there's something in there funky that's happening that's bringing down the click-through rate. Another thing to keep in mind when it comes to click-through rate is your click-through rate for an SEO type video is going to be much higher on search-based videos. On SEO search-based videos, the click-through rate a lot of times is going to be higher, because when someone is searching for something, the chances of them clicking on a video is going to be much higher, because they're already there searching for it. If you're looking at, and actually this is a great example too, because this video right here that has 5.4%, this was getting heavily pushed in browse, which is the YouTube homepage. So there's a lot of things that go into that, right? My face was on the thumbnail, so if they don't know who I am, they might not click on it, because they're like, I don't know who that guy is, I'm not going to click on it. So just keep that in mind, is depending on where the video is being pushed, is your click-through rate was going to be lower. So click-through rate might be lower than 7% if it's getting pushed on suggested videos or browse feed right on the homepage, because they might not know who you are. On the search base, or on the impression, or the search-based videos, is, for example, let's say you're searching how to tie a tie, right? You don't really care what the person looks like. You just want to like fix the problem, right? Or if it's like how to change my oil, you don't care what the guy looks like, or the girl, whoever is her changing the, honestly, if it was a guy versus, like, if I saw the video, I mean, that's not a sexist thing. That's just like, I don't know. If I saw a guy changing oil versus like this like girl in high heels, I'd probably go for the guy, because more trust, I guess. I don't know. Don't cancel me. But that could affect the click-through rate. Just something to think about. So again, I'm kind of like overcomplicating it a bit, but I think this is really all you need to think about when it comes to, like, if a lot of times when I'm talking to business owners is they want some sort of metrics to look at. This is a metric to look at. Just try to beat 5, 7, 10% click-through rate. And if it's below that, you can start to go in and test different titles, different thumbnails, different things like that. So that's the first metric that you want to look at. In terms of like best practices, because this can turn into a whole other conversation, best practices of what to include in the title and thumbnail is go back to what I mentioned about the people look at the title, or I'm sorry, the thumbnail, then they look at the title. Your thumbnail, you want to grab attention. So a lot of times, the formula that I use is not a ton of text on the thumbnail, maybe like 1 or 2 like buzzwords. Then I'll have my face on the thumbnail, so that they can kind of see, like, people usually will build they'll build interest, or they'll build connection with the person that's on the thumbnail. And then the title is a lot of times in the SEO side is just SEO built in what that person will be searching for. One thing that I've been doing relatively recently as well is, how do I make the title searchable, but how do I make it to where it would also grab someone's attention if it hit them in browse? And the way that you can do that is, it'll be like remote closing, right? It's like how to get started with remote closing, right? That would be the search title. And then I'll have one of those like vertical bars, and then it'll be like, make $20,000 a month with no experience. So when someone's on browse and they look at that, they might not know what remote closing is, but they'll see the 20,000 a month. They're like, 20,000 a month. I need to learn what this remote closing thing is, and they'll click the video. So there's a ways that you can kind of get around it and make it for both. especially now I've realized recently that there's YouTube definitely is pushing smaller creators, right? Back in, a couple years ago, they were really only prioritizing, pushing already known creators. And I've seen a pretty big switch into that. So anyway, that's click-through rate. Just like I said, try to get between 5 to 10% and you're doing pretty good. So let's talk about retention. So retention or watch time. This is another thing that you can do, or another metric that you can look at to ensure that you're getting better every single time. And that's really the biggest thing. Is you don't want to look at like, okay, how do I do this one thing, like, or how do I compare what I'm doing to someone else? Is really, you want to look at it as your own game against yourself. It's like, how do I just beat my score from last time? How do I beat my watch time from last time? How do I beat my click-through rate from last time? Because like everyone's channel is different, every video is different, every topic is different, every niche is different, right? So it's not really worth like, oh, let me like try to hit this one score. It's like, how do you just make yourself better? So let's look at a couple different ideas here. So when you're in YouTube, you can look at the analytics on YouTube. This is the biggest thing to increase your watch time. Is you gotta throw away everything of like, hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is blah, blah, blah. Make sure to subscribe and hit the note, like throw all that stuff out the window. That's like YouTube 2013, 2014. Like that's what people were doing back then. Now attention is, you need to grab attention as quickly as possible. All you want to do, I mean, you can look at the beginning of this video to kind of reference it, is all you want to do when you start out with is, first things first, is you need to validate your title and thumbnail. So on this video, right, I said, or the title is going to be something around like the ultimate YouTube plan for 2024, right? The thumbnail is going to be like me talking here, and then it's going to be my face, and there's going to be some sort of text. Let me actually grab a thumbnail image real quick. Okay, let me do a smile and a little bit excited. Okay, there we go. If you're not watching on the video version, they're probably super confused. By the way, if you're listening on the audio version, go over to YouTube. So those pictures were so I can grab a still to create the thumbnail. Getting a little behind the scenes action. I always forget, so I just had to grab it really quickly. So that's going to be the title, or the thumbnail is just going to be like probably something around the lines of like 4 million generated from YouTube, like that, because that's going to like grab attention. It's like, you see that 4 million generated from YouTube. Okay, cool. That's going to grab a little bit of attention. They're going to say the ultimate YouTube plan for 2024. So it's like, okay, the ultimate YouTube plan to generate 4 million. And then my intro is, if you're watching this video, you're probably looking for the ultimate plan of how to get started on YouTube in 2024 and how I use it to generate $4 to $5 million organically without spending money on ad spend. That was the intro for this video. So in the first 10 seconds, I've validated the title and thumbnail. The reason that's important is because people want to know that the video that they just clicked, they're going to get what they expected from that click, if that makes sense. So if we're looking at that from this graph standpoint, is this specific video is, it's not really breaking down anything down here, but what I usually see, if someone starts out with like, hi, welcome to my channel, click subscribe, whatever, what this graph usually looks like is like all the way down here. And then it's like kind of something like that. With this one is we got right into the content within the first like 10 seconds of this video. So we're able to keep retention here. And then I would say like, and again, here's what it comes down to, like, how do you retain attention and keep that attention for longer periods of time? This is pretty solid, right? So what I'm not looking for is, maybe if I can like, let me open up a new little window here. So what I'm not looking for, right? If we're looking at a graph, let me just draw it here. So if I'm looking at a graph like this, right? Let me do a little bit thicker of a line. So if I'm looking at a graph like this, right? What I don't want to see, this is usually the problem, is people will make a video and they'll say, hey, what's going on? Welcome to the video. My name is blah, blah, blah. And they'll lose a ton of audience here. And it might stable off when they get into the actual content of the video. So what you don't want to do is not do that. So what you need to do is get to the point quicker. So you'll still get an initial drop off. You'll always get a drop off. Like Mr. Beast even gets a drop off. But what you're wanting to do is try to keep it as stable as possible. Because what that means is people are staying a longer period of time. Now, I haven't perfected that. I have not perfected how do we keep someone all the way to the end. And like the solution to that would be just always like have something going on screen, always have good content, don't add filler words. Like I'm not really too concerned about having something that goes all the way across, because a Mr. Beast video, for example, is something like really high pace, something that has stakes, something where people need to stay to the end, that type of thing. And you can do a lot of different things, you know, make sure to stay to the end because I'm giving you the best tip or whatever it is. There's a lot of different like subtle things you can do. But if we're looking back at some of these videos, this is not bad to start out with, right? When you were looking at, you know, it's a pretty consistent across here. What I'm not looking for is like down like that, because what you're finding is you're losing attention somewhere in this middle area. Now, what you're seeing on these little lines here is what YouTube calls like notable events. And I actually don't know if I have it in the screenshot. It's usually right above like the video thumbnail. There's a little thing that says like spikes, top moment, bottom moment. And you can actually click those little buttons and you can see what each of these mean. But what usually these like little ticks up here mean is on the video we had chapters. So this was like an FAQ type video. And these are probably just each different question that's being answered. And people are clicking, you know, these are like the little chapters down here on the video, right? So that's another thing. You can add chapters in the video and they can like clip around. On this video, oh, not that one. On this one, did not have chapters. Or actually, I guess it didn't have chapters. But there wasn't like, you know, there wasn't as notable changes. But this is also a longer video, right? 11:30, and this one is basically half that. So that's another thing you got to keep in mind, and why it's like you can't really compare videos other than, or you can't say like what's a good metric, because the metric is let's just make it higher. Let's make it better every single time. So if we're looking at this, right, average view duration, average person's watching 156, right? So that's almost 2 minutes of a 5-minute video, which is average percentage viewed is 36%. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this video. And the cool thing about this chart when you go into YouTube is on each of these parts where, like, for example, there's this dip right here. All I'm doing is how do I beat that dip? So what that means is if I'm on this chart, I can click this area here. This YouTube play bar will go wherever in the video where there was this dip. And then all I'm going to do is evaluate what did I say in that video or in that part of the video, or what happened. And what you'll usually see is there's something very noticeable or obvious that happened that either made people leave or, for example, that retained people longer term. So this, if I had to assume, right, not looking at this, is this little part right here was probably just one of the most frequently asked questions that someone had about this specific topic, right? And then this little like dip right here, they might have just gotten, you know, they maybe, I don't know, there was just, the question maybe wasn't as, you know, as asked or you know, frequently as asked. And then at the end, you're always going to see this type of dip when that's like the outro stuff, right? Thanks so much for watching the video, blah, blah, blah. If you want this to be a little bit more, like if you want this to be more of like a straight line, is cut out all the stuff about an intro and just end the video. And that sounds kind of like, it sounds kind of abrupt, but that's what you want to be. Is like, you don't want to give someone and like, you don't want to give them the, what's the word? You don't want them to know that the end of the video is coming. So you just continue through the video and just like end it like on the last point and just be done. Another strategy that you can do is like make the next video available. And this goes like really down the rabbit hole. Maybe I shouldn't even mention this, but I already did. So don't want to give you blue balls. I'll give you the sauce. But a way that you can do it is on YouTube. You can add like annotations. I don't think it's called annotations. End screens is what it's called. And what it'll do, you've seen on the video, right, is like at the end, it'll give you like 2 different boxes and there's like a subscribe button, right? What you can do is instead of saying, thanks so much for watching the video, you know, thanks for sticking around, make sure to subscribe, because that verbiage is automatically telling someone that the video is about to end, so they're going to click out. So instead is you hit your last point, right, somewhere in here, and it's like, so for example, this video is like frequently asked questions about sales. Is instead of saying like, thanks so much for watching the video, blah, 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 and it goes down, I would say, I would probably say, this video will help you a lot to hit the first couple objections. But if you really want to know exactly how you can quadruple your closing rate, then click the video on screen right now, right? So what it does is instead of having definitive language is you bulk this next video, making it relevant to everything that they just watched, and then add like a little bit of like a string that I said, right? A teaser, if you will, or like a hook to bring them to the next video. And they're like, well, shoot, I watched this video. I think I have everything that I need, but I don't have everything I need to be able to quadruple my closing rate. Let me go watch that video. So that's what they're going to do. And then I think I did it on this one, you can even see, right? I did some sort of definitive language that gave me this drop off here. So if you look at the example of here is, average was 4 minutes and 29 seconds, but again, it's kind of longer. So I can't really give like, oh, try to hit them with, this average view duration, because I mean, even for this type of video, this is probably 40, 50 minutes long of me just sitting here and talking to myself. So, this is going to look a lot more like, okay, it's going to come down here and it's going to be like, it might look like this actually, but it's just going to be a lot longer because this is going to be 50 minutes. You know what I mean? And then, this will probably be a little bit lower because, because it's a longer video and people might not click a video understanding if it's going to be long. But like if someone's watching a podcast and they know it's going to be a podcast and they might watch longer because they already expect it to be that way. These types of videos are packaged more for browse and search, but I don't promote it as a podcast, if that makes sense. So again, whole other conversation for a whole different day. If you want, like, those are going to be the main things that you look at when it comes to retention. So to put a nice little bow on all those things is impression click-through rate, keep that between 5 to 10%. And with the average view duration, look at these graphs and look at, when you're watching these videos, look and see how you can improve. In this video, to be honest, there's nothing in here that like this general going down is normal, right? So I wouldn't really even look at like, what can I say in this video? Like maybe I can look at what I did in this area for people to go from whatever this percentage is. So I'd say this is like 30% here. So, this was probably a 5% drop. I'll look at this and see what I did. And probably what happened, I was just talking too much and rambling on a specific topic, right? And then I would look at, what's going on right here that gave me a little bit of a spike, right? What happened right here that made people drop off, which they probably realized it was like the end of the video. And a lot of times, like these little blips like this, a lot of times signify like people are rewatching the video as well. So again, bottom line here, I would just say like don't look at these specific videos. The answer is keep them longer, right? But the real answer that I would say is how do you make your graph look better every single time? Well, keeping into consideration the length of the video and looking at the little blips and the little, little things in the graph to see what you said in specific areas. Stop saying specific things, that makes it go down, and just try to keep people longer on the videos. And a lot of times all that means is just continuously giving value, not ranting for too long, and making sure that everything that you say in the video is giving back to the person so they know exactly what to expect. So all that being said, I'm going to I'm gonna go against what I just said of like cutting off the video. I don't really care with these podcasts. I do want these to be a little bit more definitive. So if you enjoyed this video, share it with a friend. I'm not making any any money off these videos. I do this for the strict love of the game. So I would highly recommend if you know anyone that is, or I would highly appreciate if you know anyone that's looking to build their YouTube channel, start on YouTube, be able to grow a YouTube channel in 2024. Feel free to share this video with them. Also, if you're watching on the YouTube version, you can watch or listen to the audio versions over on Spotify, Apple, that type of stuff. I'll leave a link down in the description. And if you're listening on the podcast apps, feel free to go over and watch the video version, because this whole last probably 20, 30 minutes probably won't even make sense unless you watch the video version. So go watch the video version, go check it out. And yeah, if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. My name is Aaron from the Content, Coffee, and Communication Podcast. We'll see you guys in the next one. Talk soon. Peace.